In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use Blender's outliner and collections. Now, when you first open up Blender, the outliner is located right up here on the top right. And the outliner is a really great way to manage all of the objects and data in your Blender file. So if you split the view and make a new window, then you can click right up here and you can change any window to the outliner. I'm just going to close this because it works very well just to be right up here in the corner. So you can see right up on the top here, there is this scene collection, and this is a collection for our scene. So in Blender, there are different scenes. On default, there's just one scene, but there is a scene collection for every scene in Blender. Now inside that scene collection, on default, we have one collection. And inside this collection, we have all the different objects in our scene. So we have the cube and the lamp and the camera. And if you select the objects, then it's going to select the object in the outliner and vice versa. So if I select anything in the outliner, it's going to select that object in the 3D space. So you can kind of think of collections as being like folders in your computer. You can store different objects in different collections. You can see if I click on this little arrow here, that's going to minimize the collection, and then it's going to have a few little icons here just to show you what's inside the collection, and then you can click on this and open it up. Now you can see that these objects also have little arrows as well, and if you open these, you can see that the objects have data inside of them as well. So you can see there is camera data, so if I click on this little icon here, you can see it's going to take me to the camera settings. And the cube, if I click on this little icon here, then it's going to take me over to the object data properties of this cube. And the same thing with the light, so I can click on the light and it's going to take us to the light settings. And when you add more data into the scene, then it's going to show up in the outliner. So if I just select the cube and then go to the modifiers and I click on add modifier and I'm just going to add a bevel, you can see that now it's added this modifiers, and if I click on the arrow to open it, you can see it's added a bevel. And also if you add materials to objects, they're going to show up as well. So if I click on the materials, add a new material, then you can see underneath the cube, if I open up the cube arrow, then open up the cube data, you can see that there's a material within the cube. So you can actually create different collections and then add objects in those collections. So to make a new collection, you can click on this plus right here, and that's going to make a new collection. You can also right click in the outliner and you can click on new collection. So you can see right now we have two different collections. And now if I press Shift A and I'm just going to add a monkey head, you can see because I had that collection selected, it's now added the Suzanne head in that collection. But if I click back over on this collection, I can press Shift A and then I can add icosphere, just add an icosphere, and you can see now the icosphere is in the top collection. Now if you right click on the collection, you can see that you're going to have a bunch of different options. But you can see that right down here, there are actually different colors for your collections. So if you like color coding things, you can change the collection color, and you can now see that that collection is red. And then if I right click on this one, maybe I want this to be blue, and I'll make this one green. So this is really cool if you want to color code your collections. Now you can also change the order of your collection. So if I just minimize these, if you click and drag, you can drag up the collections and then drop them in here. So if you want there to be a collection inside a collection, like maybe I want this collection to be inside the red one, I can drop it in, and you can now see that the green collection is inside the red collection. But I can also just change the order, so you can just minimize this and then you can drag these and then just let go when there's that little black line there, and it's going to drop it on top. And then you can of course delete collections just by clicking on the collection, and then you can press the delete key and that's going to delete it. And you can see when I deleted it, it threw all of the objects out here into the scene collection. Let me just press Ctrl Z to undo that. You can also select it and press X to delete, so the delete key or X to delete. You can also right click on the collection and then you can click on the delete button right here. Now if you want to delete the collection and delete everything in the collection as well, then you can right click on this, and then instead of clicking on delete, you can delete the hierarchy. So if you click on that, now you can see that as well as deleting the collection, it's deleted everything in the collection. Now, as well as moving collections around, I can also move the objects into different collections. To do that, you can just click and drag on the object, and then you can drop it into a different collection. And now you can see that the cube is in collection 3. Or if you want these to be outside of a collection, if you just want it to be in the scene collection, you could like drag the camera, drop it out here, and now you can see that if I minimize these collections, the camera is outside of those collections. collections. And also another way to move your objects to different collections is by clicking on the object, just select it in the 3D space, and then you can press M, and M is a shortcut key for move. So you can see that there's the scene collection and then there's all these collections. So I just can click on the red one and now it's going to transfer it over to the red collection. I can also press M and then I can click on new collection and I can either just name this collection as collection 4. I could also just name this maybe monkey and then I could click on OK. And now what it's going to do is it's going to make a new collection called monkey and then it's going to throw the monkey head in it. So that's a really great way to quickly move objects into a new collection if you'd like to do that. So now what I'm going to do in this monkey collection is I'm going to duplicate this Suzanne head, scale it up, and then what I want to do is I want to parent this one to this one so that when I move this one, the other monkey head is going to move along with it. So to do that, I'm going to select the top one and then shift and select the bottom one. Then I can press Ctrl P and I'm going to set parent to object keep transform. So now when I move this object, the other monkey head is going to move along with it. Now you can see that this monkey head now appears not to be in the collections. It actually is though, because it's parent to this object, it's now inside of this object. So when I click on the little arrow to open it up, you can see that now the small Suzanne head is inside the data of the larger Suzanne head. Now, if you'd like to rename different objects or different things in your scene, then the collections is a really great way to do that. So to rename things, you can just double click on it and then you can just rename it. So I could call this green, or maybe I want to rename this monkey head right here. I can just call it monkey head, just like that. I could also rename materials. So if I just double click on the material, I can rename it to monkey material and hit enter, and you can see it's going to rename the material. Now you can also search for different things in your Blender file. So maybe you want to see how many monkey heads you have in your file. You can just click right up here on the search and you can search for different things. So I could just type in monkey, and you can see that now that I've typed that in, it's going to show you the different things it can find. So I can now just click on different objects and it's going to select them. So the search here is really useful, especially if you have a very big scene with lots of different assets. You can just search for it here and it's going to show up and then you can select it. Now another really cool feature of the outliner is that it has a filter. So if you click right up here, you can see that there are some different filters. So right down here, you can see that they're all turned on right now. But if for some reason you don't want to see certain things, like maybe I don't want to see the lights or the camera, you can turn these things off and then it's not going to show them. So for instance, maybe all you want to see is the collections and the objects. You could just turn these all off, but keep the objects, collections, and meshes turned on. Now for most things, I just leave this all turned on, but you could turn it off if you want to. Now there's just one more main feature of the collection that I want to show you, and that is if you click right up here, you can see that there are some restriction toggles. So I'm just going to turn these all on and then I'll show you what they do. So the first one here is a check mark. Now this check mark is not on objects. You can see that it's not on this monkey head object. It's only on the collections. So these check marks just enable or disable the collection. So maybe you're creating a really big scene and you have some meshes that you're like using to block out the scene, but then you want to hide them later or something like that. Or maybe you have some bones for rigging a character or something, but you want to hide them. You can just click on the check mark and that's going to disable that collection. And it won't show up in the render. It's basically as if it's not there, but then you can just click on it again to enable it. Now the second one here are these little arrows, and these arrows are on collections and they're also on objects. Now what these arrows do is they toggle the object being selectable or not being selectable. So right now I can select all the objects, but if I don't want to be able to select these objects, I can click on this arrow right here, and now you can see that everything in the monkey collection is not selectable. So if I press A to select, you can see it's not going to select the monkey head. I can click and drag and do whatever I want, and I can't select the monkey heads. And as you can see, you can do that for any collections and objects. Let's go to the next one now. So the next one, this is supposed to be like an icon of an eye, and you can see now the eye is closed and then the eye is open. So what this does is it hides the object from your view. And you may already be familiar with this. If you select an object and then press H, that is going to hide it. And then if you press Alt H, that is going to unhide it. Now this hide feature only works in the viewport, so it doesn't actually affect the render. So you can see if I select the cube and press H to hide it, or click on the little eye, I can now press F12 to render, and the cube is still there in the render even though it's hidden from our view. Now the next one here is a little computer monitor, and this appears to do the same thing. So if I select this and then click on the little monitor, then it's going to hide it from the view. But if I render it, you can see that the cube is still there in the render. So this hide option with the monitor appears to be the same as the hide option with the eye, but it's actually a little bit different. What it does is it transfers over to linked files. So let me just show you what I mean. So I have one scene here, and I'm going to click on this little file icon, and I want to make a linked copy. What this is going to do is going to create a separate scene, but it's going to be linked. So for instance, if I go down here and I select the cube and then I make this cube maybe a blue color, then if I go over to the first scene, because these collections are linked, the data is going to stay the same. So this base color right here is going to be blue. You can see it's blue, and then if I go back over to the other collection, it stays blue. Now if I hide the cube by clicking on the eye here and then go over to the other collection, you can see that this collection doesn't hide the object, so you can still see it in this collection. If I go back over here to the first collection, let me just click on the eye to unhide it, and then I'm going to click on the monitor to hide it. Now I can go back over to the first scene, and you can see, sure enough, the cube is still hidden. And also, if you use the link feature right here, which can link different objects in different Blender files, then that is going to work as well. So basically, the hide feature with the monitor is going to hide it, but then it's going to keep that setting with other linked files. Now for most things in Blender, you're probably not going to use the monitor hide option. For most things, you're probably just going to use the eyeball here to hide objects. Now the next one here, this is a camera, and this is going to hide it from the render. So if I just select the cube, I can click on this and you can see nothing really changed. But now if I render this, you can see that the cube is now hidden from the render, but you can still see it in the viewport. So again, this is super useful if you have some object that you want to see in the viewport. Maybe you're using it as a guide or something like that, but then if you render it, you don't want to be able to see it in the render. You can just click on that and it's going to hide it from the render. All right, we have two more left. We have this little circle here, and then we have this little arrow here. Now these don't work with objects. These just work with the collections. So they affect the entire collection. So all the objects in the collection, it's going to affect those objects. So this little dot here is going to make everything in the collection transparent. So if I click on that and then I go into rendered mode, you can see that it's going to make everything in the collection transparent. And even if there are other objects behind this object, it's going to make it transparent. Now right now it doesn't look transparent, it just looks black, and that is because the background isn't transparent. But if I click right here on the render properties and then go down to the film, I can turn on the transparent option. Now you can see that the background is transparent, and so this object actually is transparent. So wherever the camera can see this object, it's going to be transparent. So I can just render this, and you can see that there is a transparent outline where you can see that object. Now let's turn on this button right here. So this again just affects everything that's in the collection. And what this does is it basically hides the object from our view. So you can't see it, you can just see right through it, but it still affects different things in the render. So if you hover over this option, you can see that it's still going to affect the shadows and the reflections. So I've just added a plane right here, and then I also have a light right here. And you can see that even though I turn this on in the green collection, I turned on the little arrow here, you can't see the cube, but the cube is still going to cast a shadow. And also, if I click on new here to add a new material, and I'm going to make this a mirror material, to do that, I'm going to turn the metallic all the way up, and then I'll turn the roughness value all the way down. You can see that even though this is transparent and you can see through it, it's still going to be reflected in the mirror. All right, and with those restriction toggles all gone over now, this is going to wrap it up for this video on how to use Blender's outliner. So as you can see, Blender's outliner is a really powerful tool, and it's really helpful for organizing all the objects and data in your Blender file. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this video was helpful. And I hope to see you in a future video.